If you are traveling to Germany soon, auf wiedersehen. But if you're an American, get ready for some culture shock, because the Germany you have seen in the movies may be nothing like what you will experience in person. So, let's look at 8 cultural shocks Americans should be ready for when they visit Germany for the first time. German culture shock number 1. Germans do not like to engage in small talk or other pleasantries with strangers. Ask a German how they are doing or make a comment on the weather, and you will get a chilly reception. And it's not because Germans are stuck-up or rude people, they just don't share the Americans' need for idle chatter. Asking someone how they are doing is a personal question, and as the Germans are completely straightforward and detailed in their answers, this is not an appropriate question coming from a complete stranger. When riding a train in Germany, it is best to keep your feet off the seats and your thoughts to yourself. German culture shock number 2. Germans are strict rule and law followers. For example, Germans only cross the street in the crosswalk, and only when the light says it's safe to go. They never litter, always recycle, and obey the other common courtesies that allow over 81 million people to live peacefully together in a country half the size of Texas. So, if you do something like put your feet up on the empty seat of a commuter train to stretch your legs, someone will scold you to behave yourself. And many Germans speak perfect English, so you will understand exactly why they are reprimanding you for being so ill-mannered. German culture shock number 3. Although the Germans are a nation of rule followers, oddly enough, there are no rules when you are waiting for your turn in line. So you may be surprised when you are standing in what you think is a line to purchase something and someone cuts right in front of you. The same thing will happen if you decide to drive on the highway, if you don't drive aggressively enough. No one understands why such a country of rule followers turns to the every man for himself approach when it comes to waiting in line. But don't bother saying, "I was here first." All of a sudden, no one speaks English. German culture shock number 4. Germans have a completely different sense of social norms than Americans. For example, nudity in Germany is not linked with sexuality, but rather a sense of freedom. Loosely translated, it's called free body culture, and most public nudity is generally considered to be acceptable by 72% of Germans. Nude public saunas, beaches, campgrounds, hiking trails, and pools are all common here. And don't be surprised if you see mixed-gender changing rooms. As well, you may see partial or full nudity in public parks and other places. Keep in mind, however, if someone takes off their clothes in public or invites you to a nude sauna, this is not an invitation to stare or make any kind of physical contact. To do so would be shocking to them. Speaking of which, that's another thing Germans do not like: people who get within an arm's length of their personal space. German culture shock number 5. The use of credit cards and debit cards is frowned upon by the Germans, and most local shops and restaurants won't take them as a method of payment. So while you may be in the habit of using your debit card or smartphone to pay for everything in the United States, get used to carrying cash in Germany. Which means the first thing to learn about Germany is where the cash machines are located, as you will be there often. But the fun of carrying cash doesn't stop there. Germany uses the euro as a currency, and the smallest paper note is 5 euros. So get ready to carry lots of really heavy coins that are the equivalent of Germany's $1 and $2 bills. German culture shock number 6. All businesses close early in the evenings, and for the entire day on Sundays. If you have any banking or shopping to do, make sure you do it early on the weekdays or on Saturday, because on Sunday, everything is closed. Americans describe many German cities as post-apocalyptic ghost towns on Sundays, as everything is shuttered and the streets are absolutely deserted. And don't bother with trying to find an all-night convenience store or gas station, because they simply don't exist. Not even if you have a pocket full of $2 coins. German culture shock number 8. Consensual sex and drinking alcohol are also viewed differently in Germany. The age of consent in Germany is 14 years old, and children are allowed to drink beer and wine on their own at age 16. So, if you decide to go to Oktoberfest, a younger age crowd takes on a whole new meaning. This is another situation where tourists need to be aware of how they handle themselves. Again, this is not a movie, and there are consequences when you don't practice self-control in a foreign country. Also, keep in mind that prostitution, including brothels, is legal in Germany and regulated by the government. Socially speaking, though, this is frowned upon. So like many other unexplainable culture shocks you will experience in Germany as an American, this is certainly one of them.